at least the Bama Nation has had the long-awaited arrival of the first day of fall camp. We're talking about practice. As the great Allen Iverson said, practice. We're talking about practice. It's no longer about what we think's going to happen. It's all about practice.
It's easy to talk about. It's easy to sum it up when you just talk about practice. We sitting here, I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice.
Could you imagine?
Listen, we're talking about practice.
Could you imagine?
Not a game. We're talking about practice.
That's what Nick Saban should come up to when he meets the media today. He should walk in and say, "We're talking about practice." That's right. The Alabama Crimson Tide kicks off the first official day of practice on at the university at the Capstone for 2018 fall camp. There's been a lot of questions, a lot of conversation that really doesn't matter. Yes, I was a part of it. I've been a part of it and will continue to be a part of it. But the reality of it is jobs are going to be won and lost. All you've done as a player since January 9th is position yourself for an opportunity to win the job. You know, there's a lot of people out there that do a lot of talking about what's going to happen and when it's going to happen and all of these things. But the reality of it is this: practice is here and jobs will be won. So we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, like we always do, reminding you that this is a day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Alabama fans, rejoice and be glad in today because practice is here. But what I want to challenge you to do also is take some time today to notice someone, serve someone, love someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. As I said, we're talking about practice getting started for the University of Alabama. What does that mean? James, you know, sometimes I don't do this very often, but every once in a while I'll go back and reminisce or think back to those days of what today was like. Like yesterday was nerve-wracking, okay, for me as a player coming from a little small town. You know, I was a big fish in a small pond. And coming to the University of Alabama as a freshman, I had confidence that I could do it. But when you walk in and all of a sudden, everybody's big, everybody's athletic, everybody is fast. So that first day, man, when you're walking around, James, you don't tell anybody, but you know what you're doing? You're sizing everybody up. You know, because when I reported, freshmen came by themselves. So we had several days of practice before the varsity came in. And I can remember just looking around as a freshman and thinking, wow. And those first few days, James, oh my God, it was so bad for me because you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. And they had so many drills that I'd never done. I never participated in these drills. So I went from this guy who in high school was the man, you know, player of the year, bigger, faster, stronger than everybody. And come here, and I couldn't even do a running drill through the ropes without stumbling and bumbling all over myself. And the first few days we were in what? Shorts. So then the upperclassmen come, and man, they were like, man, dude, you can't play a running back. There's no way you can play running back. How are you going to play running back? How's that going to happen? And you know what my response was, James? The pads are coming. I might not be able to. What was it that Ryan Anderson said? I'm not a shorts all Olympian because he talked about going up to combine and all that. That's the way I felt on those first few days. And there's a lot of guys right now, no matter how good they are, James, they're still a little nervous. Because now all of a sudden, the guy on the other side, he was the top player in his state. He was the top player in his division. He was the top player in his position. And how they're able to handle that will determine what happens next. Now, something that these young players have an advantage that I did not have is this red shirt rule. And this red shirt rule is a game changer because one of the conversations I had that I was thinking through yesterday, how different it would have been. After the first couple of scrimmages, James, I was called into Coach Curry's office, Coach Bill Curry. He called me in, and this is what he said. He says, Martin, you're good enough to play right now and contribute to this team. However, you're going to be behind William Kent, Robert Stewart, Kevin Turner, and Wayne Shaw. He said, but you're good enough to play, but you're only going to get to play a few plays a game. That's how all those guys were fullbacks. But if they had the red shirt rule, he could have played me. And if I proved to be better, because I'd had an unbelievable summer camp, I could have potentially got in there. So that's an advantage that these young guys have. If they show some things in practice, now there's a way for them to show that they can take it to the field. And true players take it up a notch. I know everybody says you do it in practice. Some guys are absolutely great practice players, and they're horrible in the game. There's other guys who are pretty good practice players, but when the lights come on, they can take it to another level. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. There's one other thing that I think that we've not talked about, James. Wimp has talked about it from a freshman standpoint with this red shirt rule. I think this red shirt rule is going to have a different impact. Wimp has said that, hey, they're going to look and play some of these young guys. I think he's correct me if I'm wrong. He said coaches will be able to use this to see if they made a mistake on a guy they recruited as a freshman, right? Has he said that? Kind of play.
That would sound like something he would say.
Okay. I think it's actually going to be the opposite. I think you're going to start seeing juniors and seniors, guys who are in their third redshirt sophomores. Let me say that another way: redshirt sophomores and juniors and redshirt juniors. I believe you're going to see those guys who've been on the roster for 3 years, 4 years, and have not played. I think you're going to see them get in those first 3 or 4 games, and if they don't perform, there's going to be some roster management, and we'll just leave it at that. Roster management going on with this red shirt rule.